Neurodiversity means that my brain is beautiful and yours is too. Annie Kotowicz. How does it feel to be a neurodiverse individual?
I am neurodivergent, I am autistic, ADHD, and dyspraxic. And a lot of time it makes me feel like a fish out of water or an alien from another planet. So much of the world around me just does not make sense and is just not designed for the way my brain thinks, for the way my brain experiences it, and so on. So a lot of very noisy places are difficult for me and things like that. The way things are done, all the unwritten rules that life seems to work by are a mystery to me. Things like making eye contact with people when speaking is very difficult. And it just feels like an awful lot of the world is not set up for the way I am. And that's because it isn't. It's set up for neurotypical people who are the majority. However, I would not want to change who I am. Being neurodivergent is a fundamental part of my identity, it's a fundamental part of who I am. If I wasn't neurodivergent, I would not be me as I am now. So, although it continues to present lots of challenges for me in the workplace and in every other aspect of my life, and at times, I guess I could wish I could click my fingers and just make this go away and be brilliant at small talk and socializing or something like that. I am proud to be neurodivergent. I absolutely would not want to be another way because I also believe the things that I'm really good at are as a direct result of being neurodivergent.
I am diagnosed with ADHD. It feels like the best way to describe it is like having multiple tabs open in my brain at all times. So I'm thinking about one thing, I'm doing something else. It's literally I can flip between tabs in my head. It allows me to make connections between things that are seemingly disparate, which I think is one of my strengths. I was diagnosed when I was 26, and I'm 29 now. So when I was growing up, it felt like everybody else had like the social rule book that I didn't have, and I didn't understand why I would get things wrong. I went from finding it very difficult to now it like loving myself for it. I think it's a strength and it's something that I want to help other people love themselves for their differences as well.
I think there's like two facets to that. There's how I feel and then how it feels to exist being neurodivergent in the world. So like how I feel is, I guess, all I know because it sounds a bit solipsistic, but it's the only way I know how to exist. And with that, I have so much curiosity for the things that I love and that I'm passionate about, and it feels like just overwhelming, but in a good way. There's so much that I can explore, and there's so many things that I want to just keep going and learning. And then, on the inverse, there's how it feels to exist being neurodivergent in the world we live in, which isn't really catered for neurodivergence. So that is the facet which is a bit not so great. People make assumptions rather than viewing you as a dynamic person who's capable of changing, growing, and learning. Again, that is alienating, and it isn't something I've just experienced through, employment, but it will be through education or through the health services or, even in family. I don't know that I'd change it. So I have ASD and ADHD, and it comes with a lot of challenges. I won't lie. There's so many things which are very difficult, but there's also so much that it brings, and how much it enhances my life in ways that I know others aren't enhanced because they don't experience it. There's so much beauty in the world, and having a different sensory experience translates to a different sensory perception and perception of the world. It's a mixed bag. When I'm accommodated and my needs are met, it's great. It's genuinely great. Overall, there's a lot of beauty that I can see, and I'm lucky to have that perception. I'm lucky to be able to hear and see things that others don't. That it can be annoying, especially when there's small little sounds or when they're overlaid. Oh my gosh! But generally, it largely feels like wonder, and neurodiversity to me is wonder. And especially when I get to meet others who are like have similar neurodivergences, and you just get along after like a lifetime of struggling socially and being alienated. You know, it's that facet is definitely wonder.
Being neurodivergent to me means I face many challenges, and they're internal and external. However, when I get the balance right and I look after my energy levels, if I ask for support when I need it, and if I ensure that my internal and the external environment is comfortable for me, then my personal talents and skills can have the opportunity to shine through. So for me, that includes things like having an attention to detail, a real ability to focus for extended, long periods of time, and we can accurately follow processes. I really like to follow rules, and have a real strong sense of truth, justice, and fairness that kind of follows through from that. The other big thing I experience is hyper empathy. So I feel big emotions. I feel very strongly. For me, many years ago, I was told I would never be able to work, but I'm quite a determined person. So I was really determined to prove them wrong, and I did, thankfully. So now I'm working as a supported employment coordinator for Discovery, and I've found what works for me. And I feel really privileged because I get to use my experiences and my skills to support others and to nurture them to have hope too. And so that they, you know, they'll find their way in life as much as I've been able to.
You know, we have stuff like Neurodiversity Week, which it is this week. We have stuff like next week, NSAID, which is National Sports Intensive Day. We have a whole load of heap of salvational events where we get to have our voice heard, our voice listened to, and our voice acted upon as neurodiverse individuals.